All right, welcome back, Oklahoma. 9:14 is your time, and tomorrow is Super Tuesday. Oklahomans, they'll decide who they want to represent them in the presidential election, plus a handful of local elections that are on the ballot as well. In studio this morning, we have Misha Moore with the State Election Board. Misha, thank you so much for coming on.
You bet.
All right, so let's just talk about Super Tuesday. For folks at home who aren't familiar, explain what Super Tuesday is.
Right, so there are a number of states across the country that do have their primary elections on this day. It's Super Tuesday because obviously we do have a lot of those elections on this particular day. So Oklahoma actually has 3 presidential primaries on the ballot this year, which is kind of unusual. We will have a Republican primary, we will have a Democratic primary, and for the first time ever, we'll have a Libertarian primary. So there are 2 candidates on that particular Libertarian primary ballot. Just want to remind everyone that Oklahoma does have closed presidential or actually closed primaries here in Oklahoma.
And explain what that is.
Sure. So you do have to be a registered voter of that particular party in order to vote in that party's primary election. However, the Democrats have opened up their primaries to independent voters for the 24-25 election years. So if you're an independent, you would like to vote that Democratic primary ballot, go to your polling place, let your poll worker know. They'll be sure to hand that ballot to you. And I do want to remind everyone too that there are several nonpartisan ballots or nonpartisan elections on the ballot. So just as a reminder, you don't have to participate in one of those primaries to vote that nonpartisan election.
And some of those nonpartisan ballots, they might be these local elections that we're going to be seeing tomorrow.
Exactly.
Can you kind of quickly just walk us through what we're looking at on the ballot in terms of the local elections?
Right. So there aren't a lot of local elections, but there are some. There are some municipal elections. School propositions are also on the ballot. So things that really direct or really affect folks in their communities.
Right. And what should voters bring with them tomorrow? That's a really important question. You want to make sure you don't get turned away if you don't have something you need, right?
Yes. So voters should bring their proof of identity with them. Their proof of identity can be either a state or federally issued photo ID. The expiration date on that ID does need to fall after the date of the election. So check that driver's license if you've let it expire. Also, a federally recognized tribal ID will work as well. And of course, your free voter ID card that's issued to you by your county election board. If you don't have any of those proof of ID or that proof of identity with you when you go to the polls, ask for a provisional ballot. You can sign an affidavit stating you haven't voted and that you are a registered voter. Vote that ballot, and that will be added to the totals if it can be legally counted after the election and before those results are certified.
November is a really big election coming up, the general election. Just talk about how you all are planning there at the State Election Board.
So we have a lot of elections here in Oklahoma. In fact, in most months, we do have some type of election somewhere in Oklahoma. So we do get a lot of practice. However, we are looking for poll workers. So if anyone would like to volunteer, now is the time. We'll start training coming up here in the next few weeks or so. Now is the time to volunteer. We do need poll workers in every county. Keep in mind that in every single precinct, we have to have at least, by law, we have to have at least 1 Democrat, 1 Republican, and the third poll worker can be from any recognized party here in Oklahoma, or it can even be an independent voter.
Let's talk about some deadlines here, because November is not the only election. Like you say, you have elections every month, it seems. So
we do.
You have some deadlines coming up. Talk about those.
We have lots of deadlines. So first of all, let's talk about today's deadline, because if you voted your absentee ballot but you have not put it in the mail, you still have time to get that in. Today is actually the deadline to hand deliver that absentee ballot to your county election board. You do need to provide proof of ID, and don't forget that you, the voter, are the only one who can hand deliver that. So don't hand it to your spouse or your child and have them deliver it. You, the voter, do need to hand deliver that. Those do need to be in by the end of the business day. So voters should remember that county election boards do have election hour, different office hours, and they can go to our website to see what those office hours are. One other deadline I do want to bring up is that Friday, March 8th, is the deadline to register to vote or update your registration for those April 2nd elections. So of course we have lots of school board elections. That's our school board primary, lots of local elections. It may also be the last time that a voter can change his or her party affiliation for that June primary. So again, don't forget March 8th. If you need to update your voter registration, do that now.
All right, we got a list of all of the tips and tricks that the State Election Board has for you. They're online at KOCO.com, our Seen On section. Misha, thanks for coming on. I know this is really helpful information for people at home.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad I could help. Thanks.
All right.